Holy cow, but is 2025 starting to feel like 1969 to anybody else? Welcome back to Holy Cow, your Cubs baseball recap show on the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel. We've got a lot to unpack. It's been another crappy week for the Northsiders, filled with injuries, a series loss to the Reds, a disappointing series to the Orioles, a whole lot of questions about where this team stands in the playoff hunt. Coming off that disappointing series against the Baltimore Orioles, that saw the team blow a great performance from Boyd, miss out on a chance to sweep a team, lost more ground to the Brewers, but most importantly, they didn't look like they were the best team on the field. They did not look convincingly better than a team with a losing record. The Reds provided the perfect chance for this team to get their act together, a jump start, if you will. The Cincinnati Shots are not only vying for a wild card spot, but they are a division rival. So this is the best opportunity for the Cubs to get some of that stink off of them. Unfortunately, the Cubs laid down and just took it. Monday's game was a 3-2 loss. The series began with Soroka's grand opening and grand closing. Left the game after 2 innings due to shoulder discomfort. Ben Brown came in relief, and he performed well, something you don't hear a lot. But he struck out 5 over 4 innings and allowed just 1 earned run. A major moment of tough luck came in the 7th inning. Dansby Swanson appeared to hit a game-tying infield single with Castro on third, but he eventually was called out after the review, got him missing first base altogether. Swanson said after the game that he felt like he was a little bit short, but he didn't think it was as bad as the replay had showed. Folks, that was the ball game. They had tied it up. We had thought it tied it up. I turned my back, came back around. The game was 3-2 again. Like, well, that's it. Tuesday's game was a 5-1 loss. Shada Ebenaga was perfect through 4 innings and pitching to the 7th, allowing just 1 run and striking out 7. However, the bullpen. Newcomer Andrew Kittich was brutal. He was one of the guys that Jed and Carter had acquired at the trade deadline, and I'm going to tell you again, his second appearance for the Cubs, terrible. He gave up 4 runs in just a 3rd inning of work, included a 3-run home run that broke the 1-1 tie. Offense managed just 4 hits for the 2nd straight night and went 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. Kyle Tucker, the possibly future $400 man, went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Note from this game, the Cubs bullpen has given up the most home runs in the major leagues since July 4th. Wednesday's series finale, 6-1 victory for the Cubs. At least they avoided the sweep, right? Rookie Cade Horton was magnificent. He increased his consecutive scoreless inning streak to now 23 1/3. That's a new record for a Cubs rookies going all the way back to 1920, surpassing Kerry Wood's mark back in 1998. He threw for 5 1/3 scoreless innings with 6 strikeouts and no walks. Seiya Suzuki showed some signs of breaking out of his slump. He hit his 27th home run of the year to left field, and it also added another RBI sac fly later on in the game. Biggest story from this game was a turnaround from the previous night for Andrew Kittich. He threw in an immaculate inning. For those that don't know, that's 9 pitches, 9 strikes, and 3 outs. He's the 6th Cub in franchise history to achieve this feat. This is the kind of bounce back this entire team needs right now. Let's effing go. Wash that stink right off of you and get back out there. Let's talk injuries. The Cubs' all-star right fielder Kyle Tucker has been brutal. Over the last 30 games, he's hitting just 238 with 2 home runs and 12 RBI. The other night, the other night against the Reds, he struck out 3 times in a single game for the second time in the last 5 games. You don't usually get that from Kyle Tucker. He usually puts the ball into play at the very least. Craig Counsell gave him the night off, gave him the day off on Wednesday just to reset him, as he said, noting that he's been missing some pitches that he feels that he should hit, fouling them off, getting into tough spots, pitcher counts, all that stuff. Jed Hoyer even said that ever since way back on June 1st, when Kyle Tucker slid in the second base and jammed his finger, that it's affecting his mechanics. He said there's quote from Jed, there's no question when you look at his numbers, it's had an impact on him for sure. However, Tucker still seems confident. He's saying that he feels fine and he isn't sure mechanically what the issue is. Of course, he's going to be a free agent, so of course he's going to play. I don't know. He's mentioned he's swinging at pitches that he wants and he's taking the ones he doesn't. But he often fouls off or misses pitches over the plate, leading to the worst counts. No shit. We're watching the games. Despite a 2-hit, 3 RBI game on July 30th against the Brewers, Tucker hasn't had an RBI this entire month of August. And his last home run was all the way back on July 19th. Counsell believes we're confident that Tucker would get back going, and he's going to have the greatest last 50 games of the season. He better. My opinion is that if he's impacting the offense negatively because of an injury, then he needs to take a trip to the IL and let someone that's healthy actually bring something positive to the offense. Some people on 670, ESPN 1000, other YouTubers, they're questioning Kyle Tucker's long-term worth to the team. I won't go that far, but these last 50 games that Craig Counsell believes that Tucker's going to bring it, I hope he's right, because that $400 million is in balance. Biggest headline this week has to be the acquisition and almost immediate injury of starting pitcher Michael Soroka. He was quickly placed on the 15-day injured list after Monday's game with the low to mid-grade right shoulder strain. Given Soroka's extensive injury history, which includes tearing his right Achilles tendon twice, which kept him out of baseball for 2021 and the 2022 seasons. He also had a previous shoulder injury. He blew out his hamstring. He had a forearm inflammation and issues that cut into the 2023 season. Why Jed traded for him? Who knows? Jed did admit that the Cubs knew the velocity was trending down on Soroka during his final starts with the Nationals, and that he underwent an MRI before the trade, and it came back clean. Jed also called it a good bet to make. I don't agree. Given that the market and asking price, but conceded, quote, right now it's not looking like a good bet. And if it doesn't work out, it's on me. No effing shit, Jed. You ain't got to tell me my bad when it's clear that it's your bad. We all know it's your bad, especially when you did something you knew damn well you shouldn't have done. Craig Counsell said there's hope that Soroka might return to pitch out of the bullpen at some point this season if he recovers quickly. What did I just say about his extensive injury history? The boy don't recover quickly. He don't drink milk. But shoulder injuries are tricky, and the Cubs can't bank on anything from Soroka down the stretch. No, that tells me he's done. We wasted 2 prospects for 6 weak-ass outs. Thanks, Jed. Great job, Carter. Taillon made his first rehab start recently. He allowed 7 runs in 3 innings and is scheduled for another rehab start soon. Javier Assad returning from his oblique injury, and he also made a rehab start and could possibly return to the Cubs after his next outing. Does Miguel Amaya still play for this team? Does anybody know? I ain't heard from him. I ain't heard nothing about him. Finally, playoffs. We're 50 games left in the season. Let's talk playoff. Let's talk these playoff possibilities and the overall state of the team. Since June 1st, the Cubs have played 54 games. That once powerful offense that was leading the majors in every which way has scored 4 or less runs 29 times since then. They've lost 26 of those 54 games. The Cubs stink right now. Flat out booty. Only thing saving the Cubs from being the stinkiest thing in Chicago is the Sky White Sox and the Bishop Four. The Cubs are now 66-48 on the season. And if the Brewers end up sweeping Atlanta tonight, the Brewers will have a 4-game lead on the NL Central, and it's starting to look like that 4-game is insurmountable. And the Cubs might as well just start looking at Padres scores, Mets scores, Red scores, because they're playing for the wild card. Despite the struggles, the Cubs are still holding on to that top wild card spot and are tied for the third best record in all of the majors. But other teams are gaining ground, and there's a huge 5-game series against the Brewers later this month that will, 1, decide the season series against that team, and 2, it's going to decide the division. If this trend continues and the Cubs continue to look like traffic on the Kennedy headed towards O'Hare at 7 a.m. on a Friday, and that's going to put the Cubs in a position where they might be on the outside looking in of October baseball. Teams like the Padres, Reds, and even the Marlins are gaining ground while the Cubs are barely treading water. Something has got to give, or 2025 is going to be another historic season for the Cubs, and not the good season, and not the good history. I'm talking this season sit right next to 1969, 2004, and 2019. They should have went all in at the deadline because this thing this year is so winnable. But unfortunately, we can't change the past yet. So the Cubs have to get their head out their asses, start playing some winning baseball, and let's fly to W.
Thanks for listening to this latest episode from the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan Channel. Don't matter if you listen to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or watch it on Twitch or YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, share with a friend, hit the notification bell so you never miss a drop. And to all the guys from Chicago, we say 3 things. Bear down, go Cubs go, and sell the team, Jerry.